All right, part two of this guy here. Picked him up at Napa today, and for those that ever want to swap one of these out, unless you want to order them online and wait, Napa was the only one that I found had this actually same day in stock. Advanced and O'Reilly's both needed to order it. For some reason, the black one is almost $10 more than this one. So I had a guy recommended or told me that he got the green one, and that he had very good luck with the performance afterwards after installing it. So, and of course this one's adjustable. You can see the little screw head on the end. It's very small, but apparently if you turn that clockwise, it'll extend your shift points. So you'll go up in miles per hour before your shift takes place, whereas if you turn it counterclockwise, your shifts will come quicker. So I guess it just depends on what tickles your pickle. But I'm just gonna get this guy in and see how it actually performs just as is, obviously, before I make any adjustments. And the only thing that I've also read is to make sure when I pull the old one out that the rod that goes between here and inside the hole where it connects back behind the pan, that if that comes out, to hang on to it, obviously, because that's, without it, this doesn't do anything. So I will be making sure that I keep an eye on that, and so we'll see where that takes us. All right, I'm underneath the truck here, and I've figured out that this nut here that holds this on is a 1/2 inch. It's a bracket. I'm trying not to be directly under this guy because I know it's gonna leak on me here. So let me see if I can do this so you can see. But, on there a little tighter than I expected. Let me try the ratchet. Oh, wrong way. Oh, really? Oh, I guess Pittsburgh sucks. Tools, that is. There, that's got her. Now this is just the bracket. There shouldn't be anything leaking out of this when I get it apart. And I'm just gonna see if I can set this right here for a second. Get my glove back on. There's that. Set that to the side. One thing I don't know for sure is how much fluid is going to come out. Let's see. Clean that guy off before I put this back on. Covered in oil. Of course, this guy's going to leak on me a little bit. Hopefully not all over me, but not a lot pouring out now, but oh, shit. There. Sorry. There's the rod everybody's talking about. This is that guy right there, so I just need to make sure I put him back in. So I'm just gonna sit you down again while I get this other one. Well, helps if I stick it in the right side. Try to get this new one in before I lose a ton of fluid here, so everybody can see. I just put the rod back in like that. Of course, I can't see the freaking hole. bless it. All right, gonna have to pause it for a second. All right, since filming and working can be difficult at times, in my attempt to adjust myself and move into a better position, this slipped out of the new one when I went to go reinsert it. So I figured it'd be a good time to just stop for folks, because I see a lot of guys talk about they don't know a lot about this pin or the length of it. So here it is, and there's what's going on soon. But let me get got a tape measure here. There we go. So just gonna lock this down in place. Guess this way it'd be easier. And at least the pin that comes in it is about that long. So we're looking at, from what I can see, about maybe 1 5/8 maybe, or just a hair longer than 1 5/8. Depending on the angle I got it at here, I'm not looking at it through the camera here. It looks like it's either 1 5/8 or 1 11/16 possibly, but either way, that gives you a rough idea. I have heard guys say that for whatever reason they lost the pin, or I guess depending on how much you know about these, you can actually make the pin longer by, guys are talking about taking clothes hangers, like your old school metal clothes hangers, cutting them to length and then rounding off, because they used to have nice round edges, and then making their own custom ones. And then I guess it really doesn't depend at that point, what the color band you use. So but anyway, there's that just to help. And I'm going to climb back underneath here. I'll just I'm going to just do this without videoing it. I'm just going to do some video after I get the new one in, just so you can kind of see it in place. All right, so here I've got the new one in place, and I just want to kind of show you what the bracket looks like here. And I'm going to get this guy cleaned off. Here's the nut that holds it on, and then here's the original one here. Now, I was underneath the truck, and I'll probably clean this off all the way around once I finish up, but I don't know if this one, I'm thinking this was the original one. Now whether or not it has the adjustment, I don't know, because it started sucking transmission fluid instead of air. So until I can get that cleaned out, I can't really see if there's a set screw in there like the new one. But I also don't see a stripe on this one. This was the side I cleaned off, trying to check that. So I'm thinking this is an original, and I'm thinking the original ones back in '77 weren't color coded. They were just whatever the Ford decided to put on them, that's what they put on them. So, and then this is the short piece of rubber hose that goes from the modulator to the hard line, and then it goes hard line up and under the hood, and then hits another rubber hose that goes to the manifold, or to a T off the manifold. So I figured this would be a good time to replace this. I think I have some hose this size, so I'm going to go ahead and replace it, because this is probably the original as well, and it's full of fluid, at least on this end. This doesn't look like it's sucked it all the way up to the motor or to the manifold, but it's definitely gooped up on this end. So we'll get that replaced and get it all back together. All right, got it all back together. Got the bracket on, got the new modulator in, and as you can see, a new piece of hose, easy as that could possibly be. Just cut a new piece to the same size as the one you pulled off, and it's all on there. So the good thing about this modulator, it doesn't screw in or anything. It just basically pushes in. Like I said, make sure you got that the rod in place, and then just go ahead and slide the new one in. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and put maybe a few ounces of transmission fluid in. I don't think it probably didn't leak out. I would even think more than maybe a few ounces. So that's what I'm gonna put back in, and then start it up, and then we'll see what happens. See See how this thing acts on a road trip. Just a little midway recap here. Something else that'll help, obviously. I can get under my two-wheel drive 77 here without the jack, but just getting in here and jacking it up just enough to kind of, you know, comfortably get under there helped a whole lot. You will need a 1/2-inch wrench to get the bracket off, and then I also recommend gloves, rubber gloves. I had these guys on. Everybody has like work gloves. I just have these really cheap ones because they have rubber palms and they fit tight, so I can work in them. But you can see that one. You're gonna get some transmission fluid on you more likely, unless you're just extremely lucky. So, and of course, lots of shop rags. So, a pair of snips to cut some new line, and then a pan. You might be able to get away with a jar. This stuff didn't shoot out with a lot of pressure. It just kind of comes straight down, so you might even be able to get by with a jar. And the reason I say that is because at least then you can kind of see how much you're losing, so you have an idea how much to put back in. So just something to keep in mind. All right, I'm doing this with the light because I don't have the light on the tack up, but I'm gonna start this from. This is with the new green module, and I think I'm gonna have to definitely turn it up because I'm going about 20 miles an hour now, and I'm gonna mash it. Yeah, it's just barely getting above 3 now, so I'm gonna get up here real quick, turn a few turns, see what that does. All right, just got back from the test run with the new vacuum modulator, and I guess there's a good news, bad news. The good news is it's driving fine. The first test run I made actually was shifting lower than it was when I had the old one on. It would come out at first at about, at wide open throttle, it would come out at about just over 3,000 RPM, whereas before I was getting up to at least around 3,500 before it would shift on down, or up. So I did find a side road to a neighborhood that I was able to pull off real quick, jump underneath the truck. This modulator, where it's at, I actually show you the screwdriver I used just to give you a reference point. But I got one of these guys here. It's like one of these screwdrivers you use like when you're fixing a pair of glasses or something small. And I don't know, just to give you another reference here, this guy's around 2 or 3 3/4 inches, and I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna need something probably as short as possible, half that size, maybe even less, just because of the angle. That one I was able to get the screwdriver on the little slot after I pulled the vacuum hose off, and I felt like I turned it at least one full turn, maybe a little bit more, maybe one and a half. Got back in the truck, got out back on the road again, give it wide open throttle, and this time for some reason out of first still not getting up there, but like from second to third it was right back up around 3,400. So I guess the good news is everything's working fine. The old one was bad because it's sucking fluid, so it needed to be replaced anyway. The bad news is I'm still not able to get out of that mid 3,000 RPM range that I've been trying to troubleshoot. And honestly, I think it's just this pig of a carburetor under there, this Motorcraft 4350.